Hi, everyone. I'm Paul Yeager. This is the MTOM Show podcast, a production of Iowa PBS and the Market to Market TV show. Remember, I have cotton on the brain, but not cotton behind me. Corn and beans, of course. But it's always good to have a discussion about another product that we cover on Market to Market, and that would be cotton. We're going to have a return guest employer. That's the Cotton Trust Protocol, the U.S. Trust Cotton Protocol, based in Tennessee, out of the National Cotton Growers Office. Today, we're going to talk with Tillman White. He's the operations manager there. Find out what that job's like, where he grew up, where he went to school, Mississippi State. I'm sorry. He humored me when I started talking football. He admitted not necessarily the biggest fan of football, which is fine because he's busy working, trying to enroll people into the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. We'll go over again what that is and talk about the sustainability. Also, a new member of the group and what that means for the protocol, growing numbers as they try to grow exports and places to sell the end product. That's what it's all about in the end, isn't it? New episodes of this podcast come out each and every Tuesday. You can like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. You can watch it in video form or listen to it. We prefer either, and we love hearing from you. Thank you. Now, let's talk cotton. Tillman, you have to understand, when I'm in Big 10 country where I'm sitting, or Big 12 country, football Saturdays are different than what they are where you're at. Is that accurate? Is the South and the Southeastern Conference land, is that serious football land?
Yes, I would definitely say Saturdays during the fall are different than the rest of the year.
And it's one of those where you think, oh, it can't be that different. But once you go and see and tailgate and watch the game, it's night and day.
That's right. Yep.
You grew up in Tennessee. Tell me about your upbringing.
Right. So I grew up in West Tennessee in a rural town, Summerville, Tennessee, which is probably an hour east of Memphis, and grew up with a little agriculture background. My dad still has a small cow-calf operation, but all around us was row crop and cows as well. And grew up there and then decided to go to Mississippi State and continue my education in agriculture. Actually, I did my undergrad in animal dairy sciences at Mississippi State and then continued with my grad program with agriculture economics. So kind of continued in agriculture through school as well.
One thing that the current Secretary of Agriculture said after his first 8-year term, he said he didn't understand or fully appreciate the competitiveness between schools to be the best in agriculture. He said Auburn and Mississippi State and Texas A&M, they wanted to win in agriculture. They wanted to win in everything. Was Mississippi State that way, do you feel? They wanted to win in agriculture?
I think they did. It was you could tell there's definitely some competition, especially when you start looking in. When I was going through and finished up undergrad, I was looking at graduate programs. Those schools that you just listed were at the top of the list, and some even farther. Say Kansas State, they're obviously a big competitor. Oklahoma State. So I think there is some competitiveness against those schools, especially in the agriculture sector, because it's so small, but makes the program even better and more competitive. So it definitely is that kind of aspect.
And you have come back to Tennessee, and have you come back to the farm on a part-time or ad hoc basis or full-time?
I'm full time here with the trust protocol and then with the National Cotton Council, but I do still help with my dad in his business and then the cow calf operation whenever I can.
And when you said row crops were around you, what was cotton around you growing up?
Cotton was around me. I was out of town this weekend and coming back home all the way to our house, which is pretty much in the middle of nowhere, was cotton. So we definitely have cotton around us, corn and soybeans this year for sure.
What did you know about cotton as a young man?
So funny enough, I've now being in the industry for 2 years, I feel like I knew very little. At the time, I thought, well, it's just, it's there's cotton, there's a gin, and then there's products in the store. But learning there's so many different moving parts in the cotton industry. So I feel like I knew very little besides what I could see on a day to day basis.
Did you enjoy working with the crop, or were you like, no, 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 corn is easy, or cattle are easier, or something? Or did you enjoy the challenge of cotton?
I think I enjoyed the challenge. I specifically enjoyed learning about the different segments of the industry. I didn't know there were all these different segments, and they all work together for one goal, and that's to promote U.S. cotton. So it was very interesting and how they work together, and it was just I thoroughly enjoyed that part to say.
And you said you're at the National Cotton Council office, and the Trust Protocol has, I guess, residents inside there. Or how do you describe that relationship between the two?
Well, the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol was launched back in 2020 under the umbrella of the National Cotton Council. Um, our previous president of the Trust Protocol was Gary Adams, who are our CEO of the National Cotton Council, and so it was started here under the council. So that's kind of I guess you would say, home base, and some of the staff with the Trust Protocol as we've grown has been here in the council office. So it was started here.
So it's easy to have conversations with each other in the hall about one thing or another, or easier to schedule meetings. I guess in the virtual world we can schedule meetings pretty easily, but it's hard to replace those hallway conversations.
That's right. For sure, I think having it in house, especially at the council. I mean, with me being new to the cotton industry, I could go down the hall to our vice president of gender services of a grower segment. So all the different segments, I could just go and knock on the door and talk to the expert. So that was really helpful for me, and I think it's a good place for the protocol, especially right now as we're growing and scaling.
Your title is operations manager, so tell me what that means in this relationship or this setup.
So I work with mainly the supply side. So I cover growers, gins, merchants, cooperatives, that entire segments of the industry, and specifically I work with our platform. So the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol platform, where all those different members enroll. Um, I work with all their different, um, you know, um, parts, or how they participate in the platform and work together to get fiber onto the platform, and then also helping a little bit for mill manufacturer members of sourcing fiber through the program. So I work with all different aspects, grower enrollment, a lot of different things, but mainly the supply side.
It's one thing to have an agricultural background, but then to get specific to a commodity. Did you feel that your I don't want to say lack of experience, but less experience allowed you to look at the industry with a brand new set of eyes and a different perspective to kind of ask questions of, wait a minute, why are we doing that? Or, oh, that's a really good idea. Did it provide you with a different perspective?
I think it did. Coming in here, not really knowing much about cotton, when I learned really quick, and still continue to learning. I've been here 2 years, but I never come to the office, as if I know something. I always lean on um, the industry leaders who have been here for 20, 30 plus years, and coming in not knowing much, I think was very helpful for me, because I could just lean on those that have already paved the way, and these experts that have been here for years. So I think it was good for me.
Since the protocol started to now, what was the mission at the beginning to compared to what's the mission now?
So I think our mission still remains the same. Part of it, as far as ensuring the that U.S. cotton remains a leading producer of cotton, and a number one choice for um, customers, for brands and retailers out there, and also for the Trust Protocol to tell the story of the U.S. grower. So what our producers are doing at the farm level, what type of environmental footprint do they have, and also um, part of the mission as it evolves is offering the transparency throughout the supply chain for other members in the cotton industry. So I think we've, remained the same, ensuring U.S. remains a leader and telling the story of the U.S. producer as well.
Sustainability at the core of everything that you do. Do you find that the goings for sustainability are the headwinds strong, or the headwinds are they tailwinds?
I would say they're very strong, and they're continually evolving. There's always new, terminology popping up in the sustainability space, and I think what the Trust Protocol can do is be a good base of information and a trusted partner for other ministry leaders or ministry segments to lean on as far as that type of information of what's going on in the sustainability space. But I would say it's continually evolving. The demand is still there. We have brands and retailers, um, NGOs, consumers still wanting to know what's going into that product, how it's being sourced, and what kind of impact it has on the environment. And I think that's just going to continue to increase. And I think it's a good space for us to be in right now, for the Trust Protocol.
Do you get pushback on, that's just a bunch of greenwashing?
Um, we get pushback, I would say, where I work, especially with the grower side, because it depends where they're hearing it from. There can be some noise out in the world as far as what sustainability actually means, which we get that question a lot. But I think just providing them with the best possible information at the time, and showing them that it's not just talk. We're seeing brands and retailers, which at the end of the day are their customers, or creating these lists, creating these goals for their companies, that they're only going to source fiber that comes from programs like the Trust Protocol. So showing them that they're um, vested interest for a program like this is serious. So I think it's just providing them with the right information when you can.
Because dealing out there in the world, people can talk. They can get over the end gate. They can text amongst each other. So, do you feel like a victory when you find a new producer that maybe hadn't been enrolled, that you were able to convince and talk about the benefits of enrolling?
I would say so. It's always good um, to talk to a producer who hasn't heard about the program. Which, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes we're thinking, "Gosh, we're doing so much and working so hard to get that message out there." But still, it's good to, um, see a new face and provide with them with all the information of what we're doing here, what we're trying to do for them, their community, the cotton industry for the U.S. growers. So, it's always good to see that.
Do you find that the initial launch was at met expectations? I mean, is there like in sales, I always think I compare it to sales. I mean, do you have lines of growth where you're like, yeah, we're on track, or we've got to work harder here, or man, we're way ahead of the game?
Um, I would say at first, and I came to the Trust Protocol a year after the launch, but when I started, there was a little bit of a slow uptake. A lot of it's just getting the message out there and showing them what we all do. But the second year I was here, we doubled our enrollment with our producers. Our mill manufacturer members, our brands, has slowly um, really taken off, especially our mill manufacturers. We have a lot of members, over 1,800 mill manufacturers and brands and retailers that are members of the Trust Protocol. And we've slowly seen my and the growers pick up, getting gins engaged, which is really important because, of course, the growers work very closely with their gins, and having that trust with their customers is really important. So we've seen some definite pickup, and now even seeing it in the marketplace, which is really great.
You just had a new enrollment here. I believe it's Kiabi, and it's European. Tell me about that deal. Well, I guess it's not a deal, but just tell me about Kiabi. What happened here?
So yes, we just had Kiabi come to the table and join as a U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol member. They're a French fashion brand, and they have over 579 shops across 25 different countries. And I think it's just really important for another brand coming to the table to show again, the members I work with, that there is demand for this program. They're wanting to get engaged, and they have those goals to source a sustainable product. And it's just really exciting seeing these brands come to the table and begin to work with us and source the fiber through this program.
Do you find that there's been less pushback globally than there was domestically for expanding the protocol?
Um, I would say there was less pushback. Again, it all depends on what segment you're talking to. Some might have more pushback than others depending on their role in a program like this. But I think there's been good acceptance overall. Foreign and domestic, I would say, of the program. They're been very supportive of how we've put this program together. We've taken it slow, making sure we're trying to answer all the concerns and needs of every single member, and not just singling one out and helping them. We're trying to cover every segment, and so I think we've overall had good acceptance from foreign and domestic participants.
Because it seems to me the story European from the Europeans is they are more open to sustainability and value we're only going to purchase things. They're much stronger to that belief than maybe they are domestically, and you seem to be confirming that.
Yes, I would say so. I mean, whenever we're looking at different things in the sustainability atmosphere and legislation, especially, we're looking at the EU because they're always a few steps ahead of the US of what they're trying to do. And as the Trust Protocol, we always want to get out in front of that and provide all that information needed for our members here domestically.
Right
But they
now,
definitely are.
right now, I understand we're getting to the end of enrollment period. Is that right too?
Well, we just closed our 2023 enrollment last month and had good numbers there, especially as we adjusted our timeline this year. But we did just close our enrollment for 2023, and we will be opening our next enrollment for 2024 January 1. So we have a few months to get ready for our next enrollment, so we're excited for that.
All right, I'm a grower. Granted, that's not cotton behind me in that picture, but I'm somebody in a region that might not have. I'm on the fence. Pitch me why I need to enroll.
So, for one, I think it'd be important to enroll in the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol to ensure market access, because since this start of this program, all of these brands and retailers we've had conversations with and met with created these preferred fiber lists, and again made these statements and goals by 2025, 2030. They're only going to source fiber that comes off of these lists. And until the protocol, U.S. Cotton, we're not on some of these brands' lists. So I would say it's important for market access. And then also, I think it's important because we have a new initiative within the Trust Protocol called the Climate Smart Cotton Program. It was a grant that the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol received funding this past year for the USDA, and producers can participate with different levels and receive financial and technical support for participating in the protocol. So there is a financial incentive there as well. But really, I think it's the market access, and also, again, we provide feedback based on their operation. We give them an idea of their environmental footprint and show different techniques and practices that they could use to enhance their operation. So I think all those three different things are very important for them.
Well, like many crops grown in the United States, it's not just a domestic end user, it's a global user,
Right.
client. So, therefore, being able to be as competitive with I guess, your competition, this is just another way to not push someone away from buying your product. You're giving them a reason to not eliminate you, I guess, if I may use a couple of double negatives there.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, our competitors globally, you can think they're trying to do the same thing. I mean, they're trying to increase their production, their outreach, and gain that market access. So we're just trying to continue to do that here in the U.S. and offer a program that is acceptable from our domestic members all the way from our foreign as well. So that's very important because you can bet they're doing the same thing or working to try
Mhm.
to replicate something.
Do you find that people are more willing to pick up the phone when the price of cotton is higher or lower?
For sure, if it was higher, um, and that is something. It just varies year to year. Of course, there's going to be drops in prices, and we'll see acreage pick up in different commodities. But it's important for us to provide that constant messaging to our cotton growers and provide that opportunity for them as well, even if the prices are lower some years.
Because to me, if it's lower, you going, well, I need some help in finding a way to maybe sell my product, but then it's also an expense, right?
That's right. That's right. So I think with this program, you're right. There could be a lower price, and of course, inputs are not going down. It seems like so, providing them that extra market opportunity or marketability of their fiber is just another opportunity for them.
Today on your to-do list after this interview's done, what's the top priority you have in your job?
So it varies day to day. I feel like I come into the office with a plan, and the plan just goes away as soon as the phone starts ringing and the emails start coming in. But I'm as harvest is going on, I'm constantly checking fiber, those bales and inventory coming through our system, making sure they're getting uploaded by gens or our marketers, and then also we're seeing a pickup of shipments of Trust Protocol cotton going to our mill manufacturer members. So I'm always observing that and helping any of our members if they need help in that process. So it's constantly evolving throughout the day.
So harvest is one of the busier times for you?
I would say um, it's actually not the busier time. Our busy time is during our enrollment period,
Hmm.
especially for me. Um, Part of my job is also the help desk. So if they get stuck or need help with anything, my number is on there and I'm the first person they call. So we just closed our enrollment, as I mentioned, a month ago. So it's gotten a little bit quieter, which is nice. I can catch up on my other things, but um, that's their busy time, of course, is harvest. So we try to stay off the phone as much as possible because we know they're swamped.
You don't want to be one of those memes on X that where they show up of here's the seed salesman, here's this chemical salesman, all kind of lurking in and showing up. You don't want to be that guy.
Right, and I've learned that in the past when I started. If you made phone calls during the year, when you call them and you can hear them on the picker, you just say, "Well, I'm sorry, have a good
Yeah,
day."
yeah,
They're very
yeah,
busy, so you want to avoid that time period.
yeah. Do you the cotton industry? You talked about logging in to see what the bale is doing. That was traceability that's been in for a number of years on a bale that can tell where something is. Do you think other that's helped cotton be able to justify, yes, or not justify, verify where something has been grown or how it's been grown to offer its sale or to help in an enrollment or to be in the protocol?
I think it's really increased its value in the last few years. Historically, U.S. cotton has had the permanent bale identification number, which are the PBIs assigned to every single bale, which has been very great for the U.S. cotton industry as a whole. But in the last few years, with issues at the borders with CBP, Custom Border Patrol, flagging products coming in, this has really started to ramp up, and brands are not only looking at what's happening on the farm level as far as their fiber, but how's it moved throughout the supply chain. And the supply chain is very complex. Of course, there's a lot of different um, members, members, touching that fiber as it goes before it gets to a final product. So that's really, really started to increase, and we're trying to fine tune and tweak and make sure that we provide that roadmap for our end users that they know where their fiber is being sourced. What companies are handling it.
Hmm.
So it's really started to gain some speed in the last few years.
When you talk about gins, I think of them like a processor, like a soy processor, or kind of that first level off the farm. Are you finding that we're crystal ball, 5 years? Are we going to have more gins?
I would say for sure have more gens that are members. Even in this past year, we've had a big increase in our gens joining, becoming members. Again, they can connect with their producers. They can help them with enrollment. They can help them upload their inventory. So, and also outside of just the gens working, we're working with other industry organizations such as EWR, which is the electronic warehouse receipts. So now bales in our system get automatically flagged so gens and marketers can see that wet bales, wet specific PBI numbers or protocol bales. So we're working with them, and the gens are starting to understand that process, and there's an automated process with it, which is always good to hear for the gens because less work is always good for them. But we're starting to see a lot of pickup, and especially if their customers are wanting to be members of the protocol, then they also want their gens to be involved because it's going to make that relationship much even better. So we're starting to see a big pickup in the gens, which is exciting.
I know we don't ever see full 99% or 100% anything, but once you get every grower and every processor and every gin enrolled, then what?
Well, I don't know when that's going to be. That would be a lot, but I would say what we could do as the protocol is continue to be a leader as far as an information, a trusted source for the industry organizations of what's the next term sustainability or whatever that might come down the pipeline. I think we could just be a trusted partner for them, someone they could lean on and hopefully provide more opportunity for them.
All right, Tillman. Dak Prescott had a pretty rough game last week, Mississippi State alum.
Yep.
Do you mention that he's from Mississippi State when he has a game like that?
I do. I don't follow NFL as much, but when he was at Mississippi State, it was a great time, and he grew the campus like never before. So we still support him no matter what.
And then they'll put your statue next to his, right?
Oh no,
no, far away.
No, okay. No way.
All right, Tillman. I appreciate it. Good luck on the next enrollment period, which will be after the first of the year, and hopefully them cattle are doing okay there on the home place too.
Hope so. Yeah. Thank you.
My thanks to Tillman White, and thanks to you for watching or listening or reading. If you have any feedback for me, hit me up at an email, paul.yeager@iowapbs.org. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.